now, and it is recording. So good evening, everybody. It is, I don't know what month it is. It's August. So I'm excited you guys are on for volunteer orientation.
Mercy, I lose that too.
Are going to go ahead and mute everybody. I will do that right now, just so we don't have a lot of background noise. But I would love for you guys to find something on your screen called a chat. It may just be a little cartoon box, you know, the little thing dripping down, it says chat, or it may be 3 little dots that say more, and you click on that and you'll say chat. But I am actually going to type a message to everyone, and that way, get ready because it will pop up on your screen. So as soon as it pops up, watch to where it disappears to. And what you're going to do is you are going to put your name. So this will be our roll call. So if you would just type your name in the chat, if you have any problem finding it, just let me know. And we will tell you where it is on your screen. Sometimes it's different depending on if you're on an iPad or an iPhone or an Android or whatever. Did everybody find it? Yay, Yasna. We got Yasna. We've got Constance, Irene, Paula, Yasna, Regina, Mary. Is that everybody? Amy, did you find yours? Oh yeah, you already got it. You're way at the top. Candace. Okay. Hey, Candace. I'm glad you guys are on. So we'll just, as people come on, if they come on late, just y'all remind me to have them put their name in the chat. But we are going to use a slideshow that's going to kind of help us go through everything. But this is your kind of overview of what it's like to be part of our volunteer force for Where Hope Lives at the Phoenix Dream Center. And so we appreciate your time tonight. You have no idea how much we appreciate you. Just even thinking you might want to join our wild craziness of lifting people up and restoring them and just dealing with all these amazing, amazing residents. Because let me tell you what, never a dull moment. And you will walk away with a sense of achievement and satisfaction every time you are with these young people. So I'm going to start with our slideshow, and everybody should be able to see this, even the, okay, we're going to resume. Good. Okay, so Constance, give me a thumbs up if you can see the first slide. Yay. Okay, so this is Where Hope Lives. Some people still call it the Hope Wing, but it's called Where Hope Lives. And Constance Meredith, this gorgeous woman that you see in one of these little boxes, who's doing the Vogue. She's our Chief Programs Officer. I just call her Queen of the World. And my name is Joanna Shipe, and I am the Volunteer Force Coordinator. So I'm the Queen of the emails. Okay, so let's start by talking about the care team. The care team is basically everybody who is in leadership and is pretty much running everything at the Dream Center. You'll hear people called caregivers and things like that. Some of them have actual, you know, official titles like Constance, but mainly a care team is a member. It's just anybody who is there just taking care of everybody. And you know, you can be part of the care team after you've been around for a while and you say, you know what, I would like to step into a different role. Then we kind of evaluate that and see what it looks like. Constance, you want to add anything about care team? Do you want, you don't want to really go through everybody who's on the care team right now, do you? No? Okay. Okay. So our expectations, we do have an agreement between residents and advocates. I'm an advocate, and we will go over that with you individually. Let's talk trauma and crisis. What does trauma-informed care look like? How do you best come alongside your resident? We're going to talk about that. Boundaries, what to do and what not to do. It is very important that we teach our residents boundaries. These are not things that they were taught by their mom or their grandmom or their great auntie, or not, I know I refer to all women, but or their father or their grandfather. They may not have learned these things along the way. They have those gaps in their growing up education. And so we set those boundaries, and they appreciate that because then they know what's expected and you know what's expected. Goal setting, what's appropriate goal setting based on time in the program. We're going to talk about the pillars. What are healthy relationships? What is different about a resident with a child? There's a lot of difference about a resident with a child. And so we'll review that. And then the documentations, you've all got your paperwork in. Hopefully, I think everybody on right now has their paperwork in. But, you know, I've had somebody say, why is there so much paperwork? And I'm like, it's only one time. And it is for your protection as well as the Dream Center. So we appreciate you respecting that. Okay, let's talk about the care team. Whoop, I'm going too fast. Okay. Everyone as part of the care team for the residents. So this is where communication and trust is a very necessary component. And you can communicate via text, phone call, email. This is the office phone number. It does not accept texting. I do have some people who get a little frustrated with calling the fourth floor office, calling Where Hope Lives office, because they're like, I can't get through, or nobody answered. And so if you're in a situation where you are supposed to volunteer or you're scheduled to see somebody or something like that and you can't get through, I'm your next go-to.
Yeah, so I can see why they wouldn't be able to get through, because that's the wrong phone number. So it's it's not 348, it's 346.
I've never called it, so how? Yeah. I don't know why the slideshow is just going. Hang on.
And you'll probably need to, and you guys will probably need to write that phone number down, like as you have, like if you do become an advocate, or if you need to get a hold of somebody in the office, just because whenever somebody calls you from the office, it's a dummy phone number. So it's not the number that actually comes up on there. It's not the actual phone number to the office. It's to prevent people from calling back.
Constance, your slideshow is not letting me go backwards.
Want to start over?
No, I tried. Hang on.
Oh, I think you probably put it in like a picture thing for it just to go. You'll have to.
I did. Hang on. I've got it. I figured it out. Okay, so don't call that number, but my number's correct. So you got that. You got that. Good. So we'll have to fix that in the slideshow. Okay, so let's talk about dress code. Dress code is not an issue when the weather is cooler, but it is an issue when the weather is really hot like it is now. So the main thing is, you know, you actually signed something saying that you read our manual, but the main thing is, you know, don't wear shorts. You know, be careful if you wear a skirt or a dress. This is going to sound so funny, but you might want to wear some little like workout shorts underneath it, because you're going to be on the fourth floor and it's open. And I used to laugh when Constance would talk about the dress code, and she would say, if you're going to wear a dress, wear some little short shorts underneath it or something. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And one day I had on like a trapeze dress, just one of the little inexpensive dresses from Old Navy. And I didn't belt it that day because it was hot. And I got out of my car and a wind gust lifted my skirt right out of my car. So thank you. Out on the fourth floor, but I can tell you this, when I walked up to the fourth floor, I walked like this, and I was like, now I understand. So, you know, it's just those little things you don't think about, but you know, always make sure that if you do wear a tank top that you have nice wide straps. You know, don't go with the cleavage. You know, you see the girls do this, you know. And we have had some of our younger volunteers show up in cute little belly shirts, and which would be great if they were not at the Dream Center. So, you know, we just want you to be very aware of things like that. And, you know, this is something else I had to learn in my first year at the Dream Center, but be really careful about t-shirts and things like that that have logos on them, because some of those things can be triggers for our residents. So it's better just to go with something, you know, if you have a spiritual shirt, that's fine, but just something very plain and simple, and don't overthink it. And jeans are always okay, all right? Basically being consistent. So we'll talk about this in a couple of minutes, but being part of the volunteer force, if you show up once a year, you're really not a volunteer at the Dream Center. What we're looking at is people who want to give 2, 3, even up to 4 times a month if you want to come once a week, if you want to come once every other week. If you just want to come for special events, or you want to come on Saturdays for our ministry outreach, then that is a little bit different. That is working with the whole group. That is going out and doing outreach ministries. That's awesome. But that's not really part of being our core volunteer force. What we're looking for right now is we are looking for people who are committed to giving, 2 to 3 days a month, being consistent with what day they come. And that way you'll also probably start to have like a job you do. You might be assisting the caregiver. You might be doing room checks, things like that. So when you have consistency, then there'll be some trust there, and we'll be able to know where we can place you a little bit better than just hanging out with the kids. Emergencies happen. We understand that. Always try to let me know if you're supposed to be at the Dream Center at a certain time to volunteer and something's come up. We completely understand. Okay, we are not the Dream Center police. Just shoot me a text and say, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to make it. You don't even have to say why. Okay, I'm not your mama. Just say I'm not going to be able to make it. I'll reschedule, and I can let the powers that be know not to expect you. So that's always just a courtesy to do for us. Keep me on speed dial. That helps. So your volunteer force commitment, flexible within 2 to 3 times a month. Advocate commitment is completely different. That is pretty much once a week at least, and just maybe 2 to 3 hours during that commitment. And it's not necessarily for you to be their gifter or someone who always takes them somewhere, or someone who always buys them things. It can just be a visit. Because I will tell you guys, I asked, I meant to say this the last hour, but I asked the girls in class on Tuesday, I go, what do you think the purpose of an advocate is? They never said, take me to eat, take me shopping, buy me things. They never said that. They said it's someone who prays with me, someone who mentors me, someone who advises me, someone who believes in me, someone who walks alongside me. But really, that's true of our entire volunteer force. You are there to serve and be the hands and feet of Jesus. And that's what's in all of my signature lines, because that is servant leadership. Okay. Confidentiality. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. It is so tempting when you serve at the Dream Center to, hear these stories, and some of them just break your heart, and some things that happen, you just leap with joy. But it is so important that you don't post things on social media, that you don't take pictures of the girls and the guys, that you don't go home and tell your family, oh, I worked with a girl named Susie Smith today, and let me tell you her story. It is imperative that you stay very closed-mouthed about our residents. It's not just for their safety and security, it's also for yours. You don't give your phone number, you don't give your address, you don't give a lot of details about your family, your story, things like that. That's not what you're there for. If there comes a time when we've developed a relationship with you and someone says, oh my gosh, we want her to share her testimony, and it's a situation that has been prearranged, that's wonderful. But we just really want to make sure that you're there to serve, and to be a testimony through your words and your actions and your love for these girls and these guys, not to come and change them overnight.
Yeah.
How many
I'm going to add a little bit to that, Joanna. And the reason being is you guys might find some people that'll be like, oh, it's okay. Like, because when they're allowed to be on a certain pillar, they're allowed to be on social media, but you never know who your people know. You never know who knows who. So if ever they tell you that it's okay for them to take a picture with you, and it's okay for you to post it on social media, please make sure that you're checking with us, because just because they want to be on social media doesn't necessarily mean that it's okay for them to be on social media, or that it's safe for them to be on social media. So let's always make sure that we're checking in with somebody and just making sure. I mean, yes, sometimes they're going to post things on their own. That's okay. But it's not, I mean, well, not okay. But I mean, like, that's on their own. But as long as it's not including any of our people, you know what I mean? Like, you might run into somebody who also volunteers. But it's very important that you're not having conversations out loud about that person, because you never know who could overhear. You never know who could be around that's going to be hearing like what you're saying. So because we want to make sure that they're protected. We have a lot of people that have been in that are in some seriously dangerous situations, and we want to keep them as safe as possible. If they're we encourage them to make the same safe choices, but if they don't make the same safe choices, as long I don't want to say it like that. It sounds bad if I'm saying like it's as long as it's not our people, but I mean, like, the last thing that we want is our people to magnify that or to make it so that they're in an unsafe situation.
And it sounds very dramatic. And when you're there, it doesn't feel like it is. It feels just like you're with just a bunch of girls and a bunch of guys and, you know, that kind of thing. But people will ask you about it. And it's really important that you just say, you know what, it's just an amazing experience and you should really try it yourself. Good answer. Okay. We are a faith-based program, but we don't really want any type of doctrine to be taught to them. That is up to the chapel they go to and the sermons they hear and the tapes they listen to. As a volunteer, you are not there to say, well, this is what I believe and this is what you should believe and da 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 da. It is to walk alongside them in a very soft capacity and, to just tell them, Jesus loves them and God loves them and you love them and, you believe in them. But not to really say, well, if they ask you a question like, well, what about this and what about this? Sometimes I get some tough questions and I say, you know what? So many times the details in scripture can get really confusing. So let's just look at the big picture. And the funny thing is, just this morning in our Bible study, Allison Walwork talked about don't get bogged down in the details. Let's just focus on the big picture, that we are all part of the body of Christ. And we're all hoping for the same thing, and that is to meet each other up in heaven. Okay.
Oh, I'll touch on that one too, Joanna.
Okay.
So we are an evangelistic program, which means that the girls are not required to be of faith to be in the program. And that's just because they come from all different walks of life, and them coming into the program and being able to trust us, that a lot of their questions are, well, where was God when this was happening to me? So we don't want to do that. We want to be the hands and feet of Jesus, but we don't have to bring up God's name in a conversation for us to spread the word or the gospel in the conversation that we're having with them. We can have conversations with them and be edifying to them and still be Christian-like and full of God to be able to have those conversations with them, but it doesn't mean that we necessarily have to bring his name up in all of our conversations. So we want to make sure that we're still spreading the love, we're still planting the seed, but some of them are more than willing to be able to have those conversations about their faith and about their relationship with God, and we welcome those to everyone. But we want them to be the ones to start those conversations. Once they do, hats off to you, go for it. But until they actually are ready to have that conversation, we want to be so careful because we don't want to beat them up with the Bible. Some of our people are from Colorado City, so they've had a lot of spiritual abuse. And the last thing that we want to do is to push them further away from God. Our goal is to win them to God, is so that they have a relationship with God. But sometimes that takes a longer process, and sometimes that it's a delicate process. So we just ask that, you just be very careful and be very understanding and loving with your conversations you have with them. But again, if they start talking about God and the relationship with God, go for it. Hats off to you.
Love it. Okay, Constance, go ahead and take this one, trauma and crisis. Oh, she muted herself.
Sorry. Okay, trauma and crisis. What does crisis look like? So you're going to have people, and I could speak for hours on this, but I'll try to make it as brief as possible. So you're going to have people that say things that they don't necessarily mean that they're actually going to do. For instance, I had a girl the other day. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so stressed out. I feel like I'm going to jump off the balcony." And I look at her and I'm like, Now you can't say things like that, because if anybody hears you say that, they're going to think that you're suicidal, or that you're really going to do something to yourself. So we have conversations with them about what should be said and what shouldn't be said. Now, if they say anything like along those lines about harming themselves, about harming others, please always make sure that you're letting somebody know, and then let us be able to have the conversation with them to make sure that it's not a crisis situation. If there is a crisis situation, we definitely will take care of it. We will make sure that we call crisis. We'll make sure that they're sitting with somebody, and we have a whole process that we walk through when somebody is in actual crisis mode. But not every situation is a crisis mode, and that would be for you guys. If you guys hear something, you guys will let us know. We'll be able to decide if that is a crisis situation, be able to take it from there. Some of the signs of danger, so it says signs of DTO or DTS. DTO is danger to others, and DTS means danger to self. So some of those signs would be like if you see cuts on their arms, if you see, and these are rare cases, guys. It doesn't happen all the time, or that they're making comments about them being super depressed and that they feel like they shouldn't be here anymore, or they feel like their life is wasted. Just like some of the signs, and I mean, most of you guys know whenever somebody is saying some things that are a cause of concern, you're always going to make sure that you reach out to somebody and let them know, because the last thing that we want is for it to get worse and then to start spiraling downhill. Drug recognition, we can know your drugs. I'd say spend some time. I mean, with this day and age, it would be really, really awesome for you to spend some time and just get to know what drugs look like, the signs of people that are on drugs. And I mean, that's not for you guys to be reporting to us and be like, hey, so this person's having these signs, so I think they might be on drugs. If there's something that's out of the ordinary different than what they're normally doing, absolutely let us know. Because we want to make sure that we're doing the best as possible for them. Follow up after crisis. So one of the things that we always try to make sure that we do is give you guys feedback. So if something happens and there's a crisis that does happen, or there's something that's reported to us by one of you guys, we will definitely follow up with you and be like, hey, this was the situation. This is how we handle the situation, and we'll tell you as much as we can, so that you have some education in your background. Our whole goal is to educate, because the more education, the more information that you have, the more you're going to feel comfortable, and the better you're going to handle the next situation if it comes up again.
Hey, Constance, can you just talk real quick about drug testing?
Oh yeah, we drug test all the time. We even drug test our staff. We even drug test, we drug test all of our staff. We drug test our residents. We drug test our alumni program. We drug test our interns. So, and it's just because there is that level of accountability. It's not saying that anybody would go and do it. It's just like, hey, if there's an extra level of accountability and they know that there's an extra level of accountability, some people will be like, yeah, I don't think I'm even going to test those waters. So it's just bringing up having that accountability there.
Okay. Boundaries. Okay. These are other things I learned the hard way. Really, we ask that you do not go into their room. That's their personal space. A lot of them have roommates, so now you're not just in their personal space, you're in their roommate's personal space. So if they say, oh, come on in, you can say, you know what, I'll just stand out here on the sidewalk. You come on out here. So that's a little bit easier. Praying, touching them, laying hands on them, holding hands with them. That is something, hugging. These are things that you don't want to do unless they ask you. Just on Tuesday, one of the girls that I've known her now for about a month, she said, can I have a hug? And I said, absolutely. So we have to be really careful about that. And again, this is for your protection as well as theirs. And, you don't want to be in a situation where you're alone with them. And, because especially until you really get to know our residents, you really don't know what's going to set them off, what trauma they've gone through. And you guys, it's just best to always make sure that, 3 or 4 are at least gathered in a room. Asking permission to share about yourself or ask about their situation, and only after the truth has been firmly established. So you're not there really to give your testimony and tell your story. You're there to work with them. You're also not there to quiz them on what their story is. If they want to tell you their story, they will. It is amazing to me how I will talk to somebody over and over and over again and be like, why are they even here? And then they sit down with me one day and say, so do you know why I'm here? And I'll say, no. Mm-mm. And they'll say, I'll tell you my story. And then you know then that they trust you, and you're not prying, they're offering it. So it's more of a gift. And so if you can just always make sure you're focusing on not getting into their head and not letting them get into yours, that's really smart that way. Okay. Again, do not give out your personal information. Don't give out your phone numbers. Don't tell them where you live. Don't tell them about your family. I know y'all are going, what? I mean, you can say like my kids or my husband. It's funny. I was talking about, in one of my classes, I was talking about something my husband said. I said, yeah, my husband said, da, da, da. And one of the girls said, is that your first husband? And I go, actually, no, it's my second. And she was like, well, at least you married him. I'm like, yeah. So you have to have a good sense of humor about it too. But, you know, I don't talk a lot about, you know, my kids or what my kids have done, or give their testimony or give my testimony, your personal past sins. Let me tell you what, guys, you have to assume that anything you tell them is public knowledge on the entire floor. That's all there is to it, okay? These are human beings we're working with, and they like to talk just like anybody. So just be careful what you say. So finding your own release, this is really important too. If you find yourself like you're kind of, I hate to say this, but you're getting stressed, or you're getting down, or you're getting kind of depressed, or anything like that, or you're getting burnt out, please let us know. We need to know those things. We want to walk alongside. Our volunteers are precious to us. And, you know, although our priority are our residents, our volunteers are precious to us. And we always want to make sure that you're getting the respite care that you need as well. And, you know, I discovered after teaching for 2 years, I needed a month off. I needed to take a month off and not teach for a month. And so that actually happened for the first time last summer. And it was amazing. I came back like fresh and new and ready to go. And I was so excited again. So everybody needs that respite care. The only person not allowed to get it is Constance. She can never take a break. Okay. Remember, people make mistakes, and it's what you learn from those mistakes and their truth. Okay.
And just to touch on like the screen that was there, I mean the slide that was before.
Yeah.
That you should not have relationship. We're not saying that at all. There it goes again, Joanna. So what we're saying is that like wait till you guys build that trust before you start giving like all this information, because you never know what's going to happen. By the time you guys start building a relationship, you never know. There might be somebody in your family that has a name that could be somebody that's just like somebody that has hurt them or done something to them that was not okay. So we want for you guys to build relationships so they know who you are before you start sharing that personal information. Because I mean, like, you got to think about it like this. You're not going to walk into, I mean, like, I know I'm not going to walk into a place and be like, and start giving everybody all kinds of my information. I mean, like, I want to be able to build that rapport with them. I want to build that relationship with them. And then I will start sharing that stuff with them once I know that there has been some kind of trust that's been established.
Yeah. It's just like a normal relationship. Okay. Let's go on. Well, we already kind of talked about this. We do promote waiting for marriage before having sex. We do promote abstinence. We do promote dating for the purpose of marriage. Keep your personal love stories private if it doesn't align with faith-based beliefs. We have an amazing pro volunteer, used to call them veteran volunteers, and now we call them pro volunteers, who after volunteering with us for 2 years, the girls asked her, you know, so what's your story? And she asked my permission, and I said, well, tell me how you're going to say it. And she did tell them how her husband, you know, was unfaithful to her, and that their marriage ended in divorce. And she was very sad about it, and was very hurt. And it opened up some amazing conversations, because then they saw her as a real person and not this beautiful blonde woman who came in once a week to work with them. And so there is a place for those stories. There is a place for your testimony. It's just not going to happen in the first week, and it's probably not going to happen in the first month, and it's probably not going to happen in the first 6 months. But you know, that's a conversation that we will need to have when you feel like there's someone who needs to hear it, or you feel like you would like to share with them. And we run that through our leadership. We run it through Constance, because again, there are things in your story that may set people off. And I remember one time I was teaching class, and it was when I first started teaching, and I said something to one of the girls, and I was kidding. And she started crying, and she left the class, which I was kind of glad she left because she was crying. And I asked her afterwards, I said, you know, Katie, what did I say? And she said, oh, you said this. And that's something that her trafficker used to say to her. And, you know, I'm not saying you have to go in and don't talk to them and don't look at them and don't hug them and don't speak to them and don't be a human being, but, you know, be aware, you know, have an awareness of yourself. And I just say, smile and listen. Just smile and listen. And if you can do that for your first 30 days, you're a go. Okay. All right.
Yeah. And on top of that the spirituality, like we know that, I mean, actually, I probably should say relationships instead of spirituality. But on top of the relationships, we know that some of them are not going to wait until they are married. So I know that's probably another question. Well, what do you do if you know that they are? Not a place, I don't come from a place of judgment. I come from a place of, this is what I know that I practice, that I would do in my walk, but that doesn't mean that you're going to do that. And if you're not going to do that, then let's make sure that you stay safe.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, let me go back. Okay. Remember, it is not good to ever bring gifts, money, things like that to the residents without running it by leadership first. That would be myself, Constance, Jay Sean, one of the caregivers. If you want to, you know, bring snacks or donuts or something like that, just give us a heads up on that, because we just need to just give us a heads up. And, you know, if you are somewhere with one of the residents and they say, oh, I don't have any money, I really need this, do not pull out your wallet. There are resources, and I'm going to let Constance talk about some of those resources right now, but you guys, there are resources, and you are enabling them if you do that. You're not being a good steward, you're not being a gifter, you're not being generous, you are enabling. So it's really, really important. And I was told this at the very beginning, and within 2 days of me volunteering there, I had one of the girls say, I really need money for diapers. And I wanted so bad to whip out my wallet. But because I had been told this, I said, well, I know that there are resources we can go to. Let's go talk to somebody about the fact that you need more diapers. And she goes, oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. So, you know, and I don't want y'all to think these are all a bunch of wicked people, but they're are human. And you just have to laugh, you know, you just have to have a good sense of humor. But do you want to touch on this, Constance?
Yeah, so everybody that is in the program, we automatically sign them up or get them signed up for food stamps and for medical. Everything that's on property is provided for them. Now, is there stuff that, I mean, like when you don't have things, of course you're going to want things. So some people get caught up in like wanting to have extra things or have something especially for them. That's why we have the Secret Sister program. That's why we have like little things that we have, or that we've seen the need and we fill that need. So one of the things that we want to make sure that we're doing is that we're not, I think Joanna said it perfectly in our last meeting, was like, you don't want to be Santa Claus. you're not their Santa Claus. You're everything that's there that's provided for them. Now, if there's something that you want to get them, like if there's like a Bible or something that you write that gets their name written on it, or something along those lines, that's a meaningful gift and not materialistic. Absolutely. That's awesome. I mean, that's something that they're going to remember and they're going to carry with them. I don't think that they're going to remember the McDonald's that you brought them during the week. I don't think that they're going to remember maybe they might remember a pair of pants you bought them because they like clothes, but needless to say, like everything is provided for them. We have organizations that donate brand new clothes that have never been worn, that still have tags on them. So they have a lot of those things. And if they say that, if they ever ask you for something, you can always tell us and be like, hey, like she said that she doesn't have this. And if they don't, and if they really don't have it, we will definitely say, yes, that person doesn't have that. And if it's something that you want to be able to get for them, we'll tell you, okay, but it's all about communication. It's about communication, about everybody being able to come together, to be able to collaborate, to make sure that we're doing our best by each and every individual.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, that is our slideshow. So let's open it up. Oh, good. We did that fast, girl. Let's open it up to questions. I think everybody's muted, but we want to hear your questions. Are there any questions that y'all are like, oh, okay, this is something you didn't cover, I really want to know? Bam. Anybody? If you're talking, you're muted. Just unmute yourself, Mary, and we'll.
I have a question, and my my mentee might be a different situation, but I understand they go to Walmart every Friday, correct? Yeah. Okay. So if they're going to Walmart on Friday, do you guys give them money, or is it up to them to have the money to go to Walmart? I've wondered about that.
So the ones, like I said, we have everybody that gets food stamps. There's very few, and one of your mentee doesn't get food stamps.
Okay.
But we do have somebody that's supporting her to be able to make sure that we get her gift cards for her to be able to go. And so that just started this month. So
there is somebody that's supporting her?
Yeah, well, I mean, that gives the gift certificates for people that, the gift cards to go to Walmart. They're for people that don't receive them, because we have four people that are in our program right now that are unable to receive any kind of benefits from the state.
And she's one of them.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm a little confused about it still, but anyway, maybe we could just talk at another time.
Okay. Well, what part's confusing you, hon? It's okay.
Okay. So if she's part of a program now where she's going to get money, I'm like a gift card to go to Walmart. When did that start? Did it start in August?
No, so we just received them. So, and it's not necessarily a program. What it is that we get, so we have ministry development that goes out and reaches out to different organizations to get donations. So what it is a donation of gift cards, and we use those gift cards, and it's called the first few days of a survivor's life. So that's what they do. They go to different organizations. They're like, hey, would you like to help support a survivor in the first few days of their transition into the center? So, because some of them don't have food stamps. So that is where we're getting the gift cards for them. Now, how long it's going to be before they run out, I don't know. But we only have four girls that are going to be using those as of right now. But that's a great question. Yeah.
So, but in the meantime, is it okay for me to give her some spending money for Walmart?
Yeah, as long as you're just letting us know how much it is that you're giving her for Walmart. I was actually sending you a private message, like as we were talking about like all of that stuff. So it is okay for you because of the fact of the situation that you have with your specific mentee.
That is an exception.
Okay.
Yeah. So like if y'all know of organizations who would like to buy, especially Walmart gift cards, because that's where they go every Friday, that is wonderful. And you can give those, get it to me or get it to Constance or get it to Irene, and we will get it to the right people. Somebody asked us in the chat, Sherry asked, what is Secret Sisters? In 3 minutes or less, I will tell you. 4.5 years ago, I was on the 4th floor and one of the girls got a package. And She had ordered it herself. So it wasn't a gift, but she went cray cray. I mean, she was so excited, and all the other girls were so excited because she got a package and it was a box and she got to open it. And I just started thinking, wouldn't it be cool to do like some type of like a secret kind of, you know, Santa kind of thing for the girls? That turned into Secret Sisters, and it's huge. We do it from October to May. It's actually a ministry out of the Scottsdale Dream City Church, but anyone can sign up to be a Secret Sister. We're taking signups right now. We need about 12 more women to do it. You work in teams of 2. You do a gift bag each month. Each month I send out an email. There's a theme. It'll be snacks or toiletry or bath products or media products like books and CDs. The girls fill out a survey. You know exactly what they like, down to the type of feminine products they like. I mean, it is very, very specific. There's no guesswork there. And you put together one of these gift bags, and you can't exceed a certain amount of money. It's $20 a month. You cannot exceed it because we try to keep everybody on an even par. And I just saw Yasna. She's like, sign me up. So if you're interested in that, just shoot me an email and I'll send you the rules of how it all works. It's pretty simple. But if y'all would just email me, I can make you a Secret Sister. You do need to have a partner. There needs to be 2 people on each team. Mary has done Secret Sisters for, I think every year we've done it, all 3 years. And Mary, do you just want to say what you got out of it?
Oh, I think it was it is very rewarding to build that relationship. What happened with the little sisters that we had, I partnered with another gal named Patricia, and it just so happened the first year I think we had like 3 or 4 different little sisters, but we did get to meet them at the end of the year, and that was very rewarding just to see, to get that sweet note and to see how much of an impact and how much they appreciated the gift, whatever it was, and just that note of encouragement. We always try to include a card or a note of encouragement with some encouraging words. And even if it's somebody that, it changes like 3 or 4 times, it really doesn't matter because the impact is the same. You're encouraging somebody, you're building somebody up, you're giving them something, a gift that they may have not ever had a special gift like that before with nothing expected in return. So the impact is the same, even though you might end up having 3 different little sisters. The impact is the same, and I think it's very rewarding, and they do love it. And so when we have had the opportunity, or I've had the opportunity to meet the girls, they've always expressed so much appreciation. So I think it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it's great for the girls, but I'm telling you, the big sisters love it even more. There's something else I want to let you guys know about, just so that there's no confusion here. In my class, we have a program. I have a program for all of the female residents. It's called MK Bucks. And when a new girl, is it okay for me to talk about this, Constance? Yeah. When we have a new girl come into the program, through my business, my Mary Kay business, I give them a skincare set and a foundation. And then at that point, every single week, they can earn up to 5 MK bucks. They get $5 for showing up if they are very helpful. Now, if they don't come to my class, and let's say they're in school full time or they work full time, they just turn in a sheet at the end of the month and they automatically get 25 bucks. They save this money. They take the little Mary Kay catalog and they order what products they want. Now, the first year I was working with the program, I was just giving the girls stuff, and Constance said, no, they're not learning life skills. They need to have some skin in the game. And that's when I learned what skin in the game means. And so they saved them. And so you may see them, they may be saying, oh, I've got 50 MK bucks. Or, for Christmas, I gave each girl a gift certificate for 20 MK bucks. They're like, oh, I got 20 bucks. So they save them. And that's how they buy their makeup and more skincare and stuff like that. So I am not selling the product to the girls. Okay. It is a gift. So I don't want you to ever think, oh, she's selling product to the girls. I am not. Okay, let me see if there's any other questions in our chat.
Candy has a question.
Okay, Candy has a question. Oh, you're muted, honey.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
So I do hair at the Dream Center. So I'm the hairstylist that has been volunteering there, and I caught COVID in June, and so I was out for a while. I was one of the people that ended up with it there. But I'm coming back soon, and I was coming once a week every Friday, and I would get some of the girls from the Hope Wing. What do you guys call it now? I want to call it
Hope Wing. Yeah.
Okay. But I never really got to serve them so much because it was always Fridays when I could come. So is there other days that I could come during the day at all to do hair there for the girls in the Hope Wing? Or is it, I was told like Tuesday evenings only, but I have a lot of availability during the day right now. My son just started kindergarten, so I've got some free day time. So
Tuesday during the day is always good too, because those, actually no, Tuesday is actually a pretty busy day. Actually, let me look at the schedule, at the girls' schedule, and just see which would be best, because we had a specific day that was just for Hoping to go down there in the salon, and that person has since she's not with us anymore because she moved out of state. So let me see which day works best. But I mean, I would love to be able to have you be in the salon to work with them, because you guys know the salon. You start talking all kinds of stuff in the salon.
A lot of fellowship going on there. It's seriously awesome. It's beautiful, you know, to watch them come in, and some share their story. I never ask, you know, but sometimes they just get comfortable with you, and they just, no matter what, they just feel loved and pampered and beautiful and just better about themselves when they have their new look. And I love that so much. They're my favorite, and to work with there. And it's just, I want to be more available for that, because that's really what I want to, that's why I wanted to see if I can get more involved beyond hair, which I'm hoping to. We'll see. It all depends on time. I'm a mom to a 5-year-old, and I'm way in the East Valley, but I love it. So I want to try and get more involved more than just hair. But right now I'd like to get back in there again, but be more available to the girls in that area. So
I think that would be awesome. Yeah, we had started like an index sheet, like in the salon, for when they were getting their hair colored, because of course we don't want them dyeing their hair all the time. We've had one of the girls who dyed her hair a couple times, and like she started losing some hair. So I was like, well, we need to lay some restrictions down because we had different cosmetologists coming and doing hair, so or hairstylists. So we have there's a index book that we'll just keep just to make sure that we're doing that. And then we also, for the girls that are in like the lower pillars, we don't go extreme colors. Like we don't do like bright purple or like bright pinks or anything like that. But other than that, let's get it rolling. I'll figure out which day will work best.
I've heard I missed out there already. They're like, when are you coming back?
I just asked Natalie the other day when we were I was like, when are we getting the hairstylist back? And she was like, I don't know. And I'm like, and now I can be like, oh, so guess what? Guess who's coming back soon?
Yeah, I just had to get my son going in school and figuring all that out. And, so now I've got some free time again. So it's just going to be a different day now. So
okay, let's work it out.
So let me know what days and hours during the day I can start up, and then go from there.
Irene, you wanted to say something?
No, I have a question. So if you want Regina to jump in front of me, that's fine.
No, go ahead.
I have not been on campus since March, since we were no longer to go and serve. And I'm just kind of wondering, what are the new procedures that are in place since COVID for being on campus in regards to social distancing, mask requirements, and kind of, I just wanted to touch on what the new Dream Center is, with obviously kind of the newness to our everyday life and how it pertains to our safety at the Dream Center.
Super amazing question, Irene. Thank you for bringing that up. I was actually going to touch on it after Candy had said about the COVID. So my husband had also caught in COVID. So did my babies. I had the antibodies, so I didn't get it. I was the one walking around trying to make sure everybody was safe and everybody was getting their Tylenol, and I was all covered in COVID. So we have since we have no cases on property for COVID at the moment. And everybody's required to wear a mask. We are asking people to sanitize. We have, if anybody comes on campus past the front lobby, they are required to wear a mask at this point. Some of our classes, the teachers just kind of, it's up to them. Some of them tell them that they don't have to wear masks. Some of them tell them they do have to wear masks. Some of them are a little more lenient. Some of them aren't lenient. But the minute that they step outside of their room, they're supposed to be wearing a mask. And then we have people that are going around and sanitizing the railings, at least 3 or 4 times a day, just to make sure that we we're, and this is just normal stuff that people should be doing anyways, sanitizing doorknobs, sanitizing railings, sanitizing your room, just things that we have, so many people have just lost sight of. So we're doing all of those things to make sure if we do find somebody that does come up positive, I'm actually on the COVID task force. So I'm really, really particular about it, and we did a great job. I'll toot my own horn because we were the only shelter that ever didn't go to 100% containment or 100% where everybody had it. I can't even think of my words today. I've spoke so much in so many different arenas today, like all my thoughts are gone. So I apologize if I'm not making any sense. But we did very well. And we're great at being able to make sure that whenever somebody is even possible COVID, we will isolate them until their results come back. And then if they do, then they move into the next quarantine spot. So we've done a really great job, and we have a doctor on site. We work very, very closely in making sure that we're trying to keep everybody safe and stay up to date with what needs to happen and what should be happening on campus.
Okay, and then is the caretaker on shift? Is that the person who is the enforcer to remind the girls to have their masks on when they're outside in the hallways? Just because I know that when I'm there, a lot of my socializing and a lot of my interacting is going to be taking place on in the hallway and in the general areas. And so I'm just kind of wondering if that's enforced on shift and how that works in general.
Yeah, absolutely. But we have to remember that we are going to have our little rebellious ones.
Yes.
We're going to have our rebellious ones that want to just hold their mask down, like right here underneath their nose. I have walked through today, and I told the same girls like 3 or 4 times, look, you just got to keep your mask on. You guys know you're supposed to outside your mask. They're like, it's hot, and I'm like, you don't think I know it's hot? My hair is great. It's hot. So I make sure that they know that I'm hot too. I'm in this bucket with him. But so it is the caregiver that is to enforce it. I've been really strict about it lately, just because we're trying to make sure that everybody is following the same thing. You got to be diligent with like the small things that people are asking you to do. So
Great.
Yes, it is a caretaker. And
obviously I asked the same just as far as the communication, if there's any precautions you guys are taking on a certain week and you're like, hold off coming down and communicate with us and that kind of thing. I think that would work out great.
Yeah. I would let Joanna know first, and then Joanna would be able to send out an email. I mean, like when we shut down before, I was very quick to let her know, like, hey, we're going to go on lockdown for a while. And she let everybody know, like, hey, no volunteers in and out.
Perfect.
The whole center was just on, there was no volunteers or teachers allowed in or out of the building. So
thank you.
You're welcome, Irene.
I had it as well. And it's funny, when I came back to teach the girls, I took off my mask. I said, I have the antibodies. I want y'all to know it. And we're doing social distancing. We're meeting in the banquet hall, way far from each other. And I said, what do y'all want to know? And they asked me a myriad of questions. And I told them, it's different for everybody. And they're like, did you think you were going to die? I'm like, no, I never thought I was going to die. But they asked me so many questions. So they're very curious about it as well. And I think there is some fear there. So I think it's important that we know that. I have a question from Chelsea. Chelsea, do you want to, can you talk, Chelsea? Chelsea?
We have Regina too, Joanna.
And Regina? Okay, Regina, go ahead, and then I'll wait for Chelsea.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, okay, Chelsea, go ahead.
Okay, I don't know what's going on with I'm on my phone.
Okay.
My laptop wasn't working earlier, so I somehow figured out the mute button though. So, okay. Yeah, I had a couple questions. One with the salon, I know you touched on it. I might have missed some of it. So I have a hairstylist who owns her own salon. Would it be okay if I were to ask her if she would, want to come in for a day, or her and some of the girls at the salon and do hair? Would that be okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And do you require wearing masks in the salon? Because I know part of the cosmetology board or whatever, it's a requirement in all salons. So
we have had people wearing masks, and that's just because I really want it to be people's comfortability level. Once you're inside the room, it should be your decision. Like when they're inside their rooms, they're allowed to take them off because that's inside their home. So
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody feels that they're not ready to come on property, I would encourage you not to. I don't want to ever make you guys feel like I want you guys to do something that you guys don't want to do, because that's not what type of business I'm in. If I was, then I would making the girls do a lot more things than they are. So
well, yeah. And my hairstylist, it's just, she would want to know because she would wear a mask. And so she just would want to know if the women inside the salon are being asked to wear masks.
Yeah, and then she just communicated to us, like if her comfortability level is that she wants people that are coming in there to wear masks while they're getting their hair done, absolutely.
Okay. And then my other question, there was mention of skincare products. I don't know how you guys feel about, there's so much you can make at home. And one year my mom and I made a ton of sugar scrubs that we would put in a little mason jar, which was like sugar and coconut oil and stuff like that. For like full body, and we donated them to different domestic violence shelters throughout the valley during the holidays. Is that something that is acceptable, or do they have to be store-bought products?
That is acceptable, yes. And I would encourage you, if you make them, that would be a great project for them to do with you.
Yeah.
They love doing stuff like that.
Okay. So anything, when we have ideas like that, we just run them by you, kind of what we're thinking.
You'll run it by Joanna, and she's
Okay.
because she's the one who helps out with like getting like some of those projects done. Sometimes she's whenever somebody has an idea or like a DIY, is it do it yourself, DIY. Yeah, I had to go through it. I told you guys my brain's fried today. So if you have a DIY project, just let her know, and she's always gracious to be like, hey, like I'm not going to teach my class today because this is the project that we're going to do today. And there's times where she goes out of town that she'll need to be able to fill in a class, and when she fills in that class, like it will be with somebody else that has a great idea, and she's like, this is what we're going to do today.
Okay, that kind of prompted then another question. Are the classes kind of strict by the teacher, or do volunteers ever have the opportunity to teach a class maybe when they're more established? So I went to school to be an English teacher. I work in nonprofit now, but like ever teaching a creative writing course or anything like that, or is that pretty strict and structured, kind of how you guys do things?
When it comes to like the people teaching classes, and I always tell everybody that we've got to start somewhere, and we have to see the dedication level and where people are at before they start teaching classes. We do, all of our teachers that have been there for several years, and that's because they know how to work with our girls. They know how to de-escalate the situation if the situation arises, because they've been there for some time. So is it an option for you to teach a class eventually? Absolutely. But we do want there to be some time to find out if that's something that you really want to do, because we're all about trying to make sure that the girls don't incur any more trauma. And that is meaning that they don't build relationships with people or have somebody coming and then all of a sudden doesn't feel like it's for them and they leave. So it's all about building that relationship and the consistency before we start building classes.
Okay, that makes complete sense. All right, thank you.
Chelsea, that was awesome. Okay, who else do we have?
Regina.
Hi.
Hey, so I have a lot of questions. First, we keep talking about these classes, and I was just curious, what kind of classes are these that the girls are taking?
Oh, let me go through them. So they take relearning relationships, anger management, substance abuse, coping skills, one-on-one counseling, group counseling, life skills classes. Goal setting classes. What am I missing, Joanna? And women development classes. So they take just about everything underneath the sun. Our motto at the Dream Center is, find a need and fill it, find a hurt and heal it. So if there's something that's across the board that the girls are going to need, then we make sure that we're filling that need.
Okay, and then the other question I had is, I know that you guys, the Dream Center started as a church, and so I was wondering, on Sundays, do you guys do church at the Dream Center?
We do not. What we do is we take the girls off property. And the reason being is that they open up the doors to the public, and everybody knows that, if you Google the Dream Center, it says that we have a human trafficking relief program. Well, we go to places where we know that are going to be secure. There's 2 churches that we go to on a regular basis, and we know the security guards, we know the leaders, they always look out for our girls and our guys and make sure that they're in a safe, that they feel safe and that they feel supported.
Okay, and then I also wanted to ask, because we've been talking about, how we're going to be serving these girls as volunteers and how all of you serve everybody at the Dream Center. But I wanted to know, what do you do as far as team building and your staff morale so that you guys still feel like you're doing your own thing individually, but you're still a part of the team?
Yeah, we do. So as far as our staff goes, we do a lot of stuff. We do a lot of team building things. We also have a class on self-care because it's very important, especially working with the people the demographic of people that we work with. We're dealing with a lot of people that have trauma, and it's very easy to have that vicarious to suffer from. You absorb somebody else's trauma, or you're carrying somebody else's trauma, or somebody else's trauma is affecting you. So we do lots of things with each other. Sometimes I have barbecues at my house. Sometimes Joanna does facials at her house. Sometimes we go to an escape room, and it's super hilarious because none of us ever get out. We do lots of things to try and support each other. Sometimes we just have lunch and we spend the day in my office and just crack up and laugh. There's lots of things that we try to do. We also, once a month, we also go out with the residents to do something fun. And for us, that's self-care. That's self-care to the max. It's just being able to not focus on trauma and be able to have some fun with them and cut up.
Do you guys ever do outings with the girls or the guys that I guess would, I don't know, for lack of a better term, field trip sort of stuff, but where it's less of an entertainment type deal, but volunteering opportunities for them?
We do. We've gone to the food bank before. We've been trying to set up, they've been dying to go over to a animal shelter because that's where they really want to work. They also do equine therapy. So they have to go over to, and in order for them to be able to earn riding time, they also have to shuffle poop. So I should say manure, maybe not poop, but I just like the word. So they do, and we go on an outing every month, and that's because they're focusing so much on their trauma and on the healing, not really so much on their trauma, but on the healing portion of things, that we want them just to be able to get out and learn what it's like to go and have recreational fun that doesn't include something negative.
Okay, and then I also wanted to ask, for holidays, do you guys have, because I heard you talk about how some of these girls have kids, and I know that the kids don't stay with them. So are there family days where their families can come visit, or do you guys do events at the Dream Center around the holidays? How does that work?
All right, I'm gonna try and cover all of them because I think there were kind of just 3 different questions in one. So we do have babies on property. Some of our girls have DCS cases where their children aren't with them, but some of them have DCS cases where their children are with them, and some of them don't even have DCS cases. Some of them have family that is involved and is very supportive and good for them. Some of them don't have family that's good and supportive for them. We do have a Thanksgiving meal. We probably have 2 or 3 of them during the Thanksgiving time, and where we invite girls that had been in the program before, no matter where they're at that point in time, to be able to come back, because a lot of people don't have that family support. usually during around Christmas. We usually don't find out until late, but we have churches that adopt the girls, and we do what's called like an angel tree. So they always fill out like some of the things that they would really like to get from the angel tree, and then sometimes a church adopts them. Or adopts the Dream Center to be able to get all of those gifts. Last year was absolutely amazing.
Oh, that's so cool. And then do they have opportunities where they can, things to gift things to each other or the staff?
Yes. Can I cover that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we do have one volunteer that brings in a team of several women, and they make cards, beautiful cards. I have another volunteer from our Scottsdale campus that does gorgeous homemade jewelry, and she brings in all of her beads, and the girls make jewelry, and that's really fun. A good friend of mine's a professional baker, and she's come in and taught a class on how to decorate cupcakes, and then they get to eat them. So we try to do projects like that. Like Constance says, a lot of times I'll just let them do that during my times class slot, because my class is called For Ladies Only, and it's basically to teach, I call it re-entry into the real world, but it's business and dining etiquette. And it's things that you just learn growing up, which fork to use, which spoon to use, how to shake hands, how to introduce yourself, how to stand, how to sit, how to be a lady. And that's why it's called For Ladies Only. And so I like to bring in speakers and people that do things like that, because then they get to practice those skills of introducing themselves, maybe not right now shaking hands, but introducing themselves, how to stand, how to sit, how to write a thank you note, things like that. So we try to integrate, when we have things like that going on, we try to integrate several different skill sets coming in to help the girls that way.
I love that. That's awesome. And then the other question I had is, you mentioned that some of the girls, well, majority of the girls are receiving like state assistance, and they get food stamps. And so I was wondering, like, so how does mealtime work there? Do they all just grocery shop for themselves and cook for themselves, or does everybody eat together? Like, how does that work? And then with their food stamps, is it just kind of like when you guys take a trip to Walmart, they just take what they have on their card and then spend it however they see fit? Or is there somebody that goes with them that helps them learn how to budget? Like, you have $100. I don't think we're going to be buying lobster tails today. Let's see how far we can stretch this meal plan.
Right. So we've had nutritionists come through and work with the girls too, because whenever there is, I'll be honest, there has been some substance abuse that has been involved in with some of our girls and guys, so and when you stop using substances, you start eating everything, and you don't start paying attention to what you're eating, and sometimes that can get out of hand. So all the average that every girl receives is about $194 for one single person. And so we tell them, you have 4 weeks. They're only allowed to have 4 bags when they come back from the store. They have a small fridge that's in their room, and then there's a big fridge that's in the kitchen for them to prepare their own meals. Anything that goes in the big kitchen, in the big refrigerator, has to have their name on it. If it doesn't have their name on it, it's fair game for anybody. And that's where like some of the life skills kicks in of like, hey, like this is how much you have, this is how much you're going to have to budget. If you run out of that money, then guess what? You're going to have to eat the food from the cafeteria downstairs, and none of them like to do that. So they like to cook in the kitchen, and whenever they're cooking, it's really cool because we have people from different areas of the world that come and that are in our program, and they are able to cook their own culture of food. So when they're cooking their own culture of food, you see people going in there and they're like, oh my gosh, what's that? And then more life skills kicks in, and they start learning about other cultures, and they start learning about how to cook some other food. There's girls that will say that I've seen yesterday, a girl came to one of the other girls and was like, hey, do you know how to make crepes? She's like, yeah, I know how to make crepes. So they're all making crepes like crazy. I have like 4 plates of crepes on my desk. I'm like, what is this? And she's like, well, we need you to taste all of them to find out which one's better. I'm like, yeah, you're not going to catch me up like that. I'm not doing that. But so you have lots of great questions, Regina. I love them. Sorry, my dog doesn't like people walking by my house. So yeah, they do. They have a big fridge in the kitchen, and the big kitchen, they have little fridges in their room, and they have some storage space for them to have like some snacks and stuff like that. And the only way, I mean, you can tell somebody until you're blue in the face, like how you're supposed to budget, but until they fall flat on their face, they're not going to actually get it, and it's not going to soak in. So there's times where they've come to me and they're like, oh my gosh, my food stamps doesn't kick in for a couple more days, and I'm so starving. I'm like, you are not starving. There's food downstairs. They serve 3 meals a day downstairs in the cafeteria, and you're not going to die from that food. So you need to learn how to budget better. And they're like, oh, but I had to. And I remember and I laughed so hard, Regina, when you said something about a lobster tail, because literally a girl walked in my office and she was like, look what I got. And I was like, why in the world would you buy that? She was like, because I'm going to learn how to cook it. She's like, can I go on the computer and look it up? And I was like, you already have it, so I guess so. But it was just that's why that made me laugh, is because that's what happened. And then of course she learned her lesson, because she was like, I spent $20-something on lobster tail that has, like, I don't know, maybe a small 1 ounce portion of meat, so she learned her lesson that way.
You know what, we do encourage the volunteers to come in at certain times when we prearrange it, to come in and cook a meal with the girls.
Yeah.
I've brought in all the ingredients for a taco bar. I've done my chicken spaghetti. I mean, a lot of it I prepared it. I did the cutting and chopping and all that at home, but I taught them how to make a chicken spaghetti sauce. That's a lot healthier than a red meat sauce. And I mean, just things like that. Food is a great way to bond with people. I mean,
oh yeah,
bread. This is what I tell the volunteers though. Do not let them leave until they clean.
Oh, thank you, Joanna.
Cleaning the kitchen by yourself.
Thank you, Joanna.
It's like
and you'll have
years. They're gonna do what they're gonna do, and they're gonna get away with what they can get away with. It's so.
Oh yeah, some people will stir some, because the rule is if you don't help, you have to clean. So you'll have girls that go in there and just stir and keep stirring the macaroni and stirring the macaroni and stirring the macaroni. They're like, I helped.
They're funny.
They are. And I'm telling you, I mean, like, we've gone over some really hard points and like some of the boundaries and stuff, but I'm going to tell you that they are just normal people, I mean, and I mean, if you treat them like they're normal people, they will crack you up. They have such great personalities. They're so full of life, and it's an amazing experience to be a part of. There are some rough days, but at the end of the day, like, knowing that you were a part of bringing hope to somebody's life just makes the world.
And I just want to give y'all one more thing as you're volunteering and doing your shadowing. If some of them are not super nice to you in the very beginning, or they just kind of blow you off, please don't take it personally. These girls and guys have dealt with so much rejection in their life that they kind of have that wall, and you just smile and just say, hey, how's your day going? And if they go fine and walk off, don't take it personally. I met the toughest girl that's ever gone through Dream Center my first day there, and then thank goodness I met the sweetest girl that's ever gone through the Dream Center that same day, because I was like, this ain't happening. Like that. So you just have to show grace, and just remember that once they've seen you a few times, it's a completely different story. It really is.
Once they see that you're consistent and you're going to continue to come, and that that you're here to stay, like, that's when their relationships, and you'll see the personalities come out, and the real people that they inspire or that they strive to be.
If you want to see them really, really, really have fun, come in January to my class when we have our glamour day, when I teach them how to do professional makeup, and they get to play in all these colors, and it's hilarious.
Oh my gosh, it's insane.
Hilarious. They love makeup. All right, any other questions? You guys have been so awesome. Okay, I think I have everybody, but I don't know, there was a phone number. Oh, and I think they had to sign off, or maybe it was somebody connected to their phone. Okay, I'll look it up later. Okay, well, thank you guys. We did go a few minutes over. I apologize for that, but